Man, you crazy, man. You know what? Louis Ortiz, you gonna get it. Somebody gotta pay for this, man. All this sacrifice, all this hard work, and this dedication. I'm getting working my ass out. You gonna pay. And I'm gonna make you thankful, man. I bless you twice. But I'm gonna show you I'm gonna beat the living shit out you. I promise, man. Get this shit out of my face.
Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. I thought I'd start this one, as you would have seen there, with Deontay Wilder's latest social media post. So I'll leave that to you to read what its mood was there. It doesn't look like he's had a hard week. Training or something else, who knows? But bring on March 3rd. Deontay Wilder, he can show us all what makes him the greatest, because he is, in his view, TBE. He says he's knocking everybody out, doesn't matter which generation, anyone in history, including a prime Mike Tyson. So, yeah, obviously those comments which were made to TMZ, that's got many a boxing fan up in an uproar. The old heavyweight legend such as Lennox Lewis has also chimed in with some very nice rebuff, sort of disapproving words, but put in a very nice way. But Wilder's promoter Lou DiBella, one of the few people who's come to Wilder's defense, talking to ATG Radio about the situation. I'll get to the quotes in a second, and then a few thoughts, because it's actually very interesting what he says, but also what he doesn't say. So in terms of the quote, so he told ATG Radio, it's Deontay's prerogative to be outspoken and to be brash and to be confident. It's Lennox's prerogative to respond to him and have a dialogue. There's no hatred there. It is what it is. I think it's interesting. As someone that's close to Deontay, he's supposed to believe in himself. By the way, if he didn't believe in himself, he'd be in real trouble. I think he's taken a lot of criticism that hasn't been valid. He was on an airplane to go to Russia to fight Povetkin on his own turf, and Povetkin was dirty. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight Povetkin. It wasn't that he wasn't prepared for it. He was prepared to fight Luis Ortiz in his last fight. He only did the mandatory with Stiverne because Ortiz had a problem with his test. Could he have done something any better against Stiverne? Could he have been more impressive against the mandatory put in front of him? No. People still can't give him props. Here's the other irony. I wouldn't be as great a champion, I don't think, as Deontay Wilder, in the sense that right now, I probably wouldn't have fought Ortiz. I would have said, okay, I don't have to. He inconvenienced me last time. Why should I? I have a big, huge fight ahead of me. All I have to do is keep winning. So why should I fight the toughest fight out there? He's doing that because he's a champion. March 3rd, people are getting a chance to see a real heavyweight fight that on paper is supposed to be super competitive, where Wilder is fighting the toughest guy possible for him to fight right now. But still, you can't win. If you wax out Ortiz and look spectacular doing it, I don't want to hear anybody who was screaming and yelling about this fight for so long that Ortiz was avoided. I don't want to read, oh, Wilder beat him, he was shot. Okay, so that was Lou DiBella, some comments he made to ATG Radio. There's a lot to unpack there. So let's start at the beginning. DiBella, he's right. Lennox Lewis, he wasn't trying to diminish Wilder's achievements as the current WBC heavyweight champion. It was more rather that Wilder needs to do more. That's effectively what Lewis was saying. Basically, stay in your lane, clean up the division, get through the guys in your era. And we've run through that before, so I'm not going to go too much more into it. I mean, DiBella, he was also right when he says Deontay Wilder needs to be confident. You need to be confident in the heavyweight boxing game. He needs to believe in himself. I mean, otherwise, I do believe, like DiBella says, he would be in trouble. Boxing is one of those sports where the mental side, it's huge, and being racked by self-doubt, it never did anyone any favours. And Deontay Wilder, we know he's never been short of confidence. I mean, we've all probably seen it in the past where a boxer says outrageous things, and, you know, it leaves us thinking, geez, what are they on about? You know, they're a bit deluded, or they must be out of their mind, or, you know, you end up thinking, well, where did that come from? So this whole beating all the heavyweights in history, including Prime Tyson, for me, it kind of falls into that category. That he said it and he probably believes it, but I mean, a lot of us go, really? I mean, the more I've reflected on his comments, I've come to believe it was more than likely just, it was an offhand comment that he made when he was put on the spot. He was asked directly about Tyson, and he gave his answer. But I do believe he believes what he says. He is supremely confident in his abilities. Is he too confident, overconfident? I mean, we'll have to see on that front. He's written a big check now, and he's got to cash it and win some big fights now. But for a lot of fans, and I can completely agree with this, there is levels to boxing history. And right now, the general consensus is Wilder's history does not stack up when compared to Mike Tyson's history, or the heavyweight division in general. There's been some great champions along the way. For a lot of people, it's not even close. And that's why the reaction has been so swift and the outrage so strong. People are just like, what are you on? But here, for me, is what's really interesting in what Lou DiBella said. He didn't actually say that he agreed with Deontay Wilder. He didn't agree that he beats all heavyweights in all eras, that he knocks them all out. He talked around the issue, and he was very careful to do so. He made it about Deontay Wilder is very confident, and he has to be. He's a champion, yada, yada, yada. So he actually deflected on that one. And I can only speculate as to why he was very careful with the comm speak there. But, no doubt if he had have gone all in, I'm sure many of us, boxing fans in general, we would have taken aim at DiBella as well. I mean, sometimes, as we see there, what you don't say can be just as important as what you do say. I mean, DiBella's comments sounded good, but really, they didn't actually support Wilder to the hilt. I mean, if he had gone, yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. He would have knocked everyone out. In history, I think we would have also questioned DiBella's sanity. So in terms of a lot of criticisms that aren't valid, in particular in relation to the canned Povetkin fight, I completely agree with DiBella on that front. Wilder has taken a lot more criticism than is warranted over the Povetkin situation. It wasn't his fault that a test was failed that turned up positive in the lead up to the fight. It was actually very unfortunate for all involved, including Povetkin. He'd worked himself into that mandatory slot for a go at Deontay Wilder. But I guess in relation to criticisms more broadly, and it often gets me wondering, these guys like DiBella, they like to talk about criticism, but they don't ask the reason why is the criticism and the specific criticism coming. Because DiBella, he's promoted a number of Wilder's fights. He's part of the team. I mean, why isn't he asking the question, why are fans so skeptical of Wilder and his achievements? And perhaps the answer is, he wouldn't like the answer. It's harder for him to finesse the facts, finesse the record in the way that he probably would like to, but he can't get away with. So instead, what happens, we get comments like Wilder is underappreciated. He's an underappreciated champion. His own countrymen don't support him and all that sort of Crimea River stuff. But for me, some of the support issue and the general criticism, it comes down to one simple fact. Deontay Wilder hasn't fought anyone who is elite. And it's not like that's a revelation. I think we've all been saying this for the last couple of years. That's why fights like the initial Povetkin one and the initial Ortiz one, that's why fans were looking forward to them. Because they wanted to see this guy in the ring with those contenders, those challengers, to see how good he was. So the criticism, the core of it, it comes down to that one simple fact. So I'm glad that he's now in a position that he is against a top contender in Luis Ortiz. And I'll give Wilder his due here. He deserves a lot of credit for making the fight a second time around. I mean, Ortiz, he failed that drugs test, cloudy circumstances, WBC doing a few shady things there. It wasn't transparent, torched him in public, then later exonerated him on medical grounds. Suspicious, suspicious, suspicious. I mean, this whole thing, it was a mess. But I'm glad that Wilder has come through and just been like, well, that's in the past. I want to fight this guy. I want to beat him. So I will be giving him a huge amount of credit if he gets past the Cuban. I think most of us will. And in terms of the Luis Ortiz's too, I mean, who knows how old he is. But right now, in the division, he is rated a consensus top 5 guy. He's one of the best 5 to 6 guys in the division. And regardless of his age or how much he's weathered, he is still considered that way. So Deontay Wilder will get a huge amount of credit, I believe, for beating Luis Ortiz, especially if Luis Ortiz looks good in there and it ends up being a good brawl and, one of them ends up, say Wilder knocks him out late on, but it was a great fight. That will only enhance Deontay Wilder's reputation. And Wilder, he knows he needs this fight. In spite of the front that he puts on, he's acutely aware of the criticism. I mean, it's part of the reason he defends his record so vociferously and demands he get full credit when he beats Ortiz. And it's part of the reason he's demanding, fans do research and crazy things like this. When you do the research, actually, it still comes back to that one fact. The record, it's okay, but it's not great. You need a name. And Wilder's image problem of being a perceived cherry picker and other various things, it's not going to get rehabilitated with just one fight. But a good win over Luis Ortiz will do a lot of good for his reputation. Down the road, if he becomes undisputed, he keeps winning and keeps beating big names, much of his public relation woes that are right now, it'll end up just becoming a footnote. It'll be something that'll be forgotten, and it will be something that will no longer weigh him down. His fate is in his hands. He can be a huge star. Keep winning, beating top guys, and you will go down a legend. But just not a legend right now. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.